Porsha and friends, they got that vibe. Electric smiles keep the whole crew alive. Harmonies waving like stars in the sky. Porsha and friends, love will never die.
Okay, so in this segment, we're going to be talking about the Houston DL list. Okay, so I'm going to play this video and then we're going to talk about it afterward.
I gain nothing from showing a list of men who are attracted to me. Let's sit with this because it's complex. If you are a trans woman and you believe yourself to be a woman too, what exactly was there to expose? Because weaponizing your transness to shame attraction to you doesn't push the movement forward. It muddies the water. As a Houston native, I want to talk about what's happening in Houston right now. A trans woman exposed the DMs of a lot of men, implying they were all down low. And as usual, social media is spiraling. Let's unpack it. Social media will have you believing most men are DL. I don't believe that. I do believe many women have been in relationships with bisexual men, sometimes knowing, sometimes without knowing. And that's the real issue. Deception, cheating, recklessness, taking my choice away. And that applies across the board, not in just DL situations. DL culture is dangerous. These men have hurt people. They can and will unalive men, women, that includes trans women, to keep their secret. So being someone's emotional and sexual dumping ground while they hide who they are is not a flex. You do not get an award for that. Now let's talk about Black women because we often get scapegoated for DL culture. People say we are the reason these men stay closeted, but really it's patriarchy. Yes, Black women can uphold patriarchy, but we didn't create it and we hold the least power in it. I have seen some extremely homophobic takes from Black women, especially with that viral "who gonna be the boys" sound. And a lot of women weaponize disease in these conversations when the spread of STDs is not exclusive to DL men. Spread of disease isn't about identity, it's about behavior. Some DL men are more likely to engage in risky behavior, multiple partners, inconsistent condom use, avoiding testing, hiding the truth from partners. That secrecy is the danger, not the label. And when DL men and straight men engage in similar behavior, their HIV and STI transmission rates are similar as well. This is a public health issue, not just a DL issue. STDs are high across the board. We need to hold space for truth and nuance, accountability and compassion. It's about being honest and safe.
So if a trans woman shares private DMs of men attracted to her, is she reinforcing the same stereotype, same stigma she faces?
And you want to go first, or?
Anyone could go first.
So I would just say it's a nuanced issue because even though a trans woman is a woman, we live in a world where the majority of people view trans women as men.
Mm.
Now, exposing the DMs of a guy that's attracted to you doesn't mean that person's DL either. He may not be open about about them dating you, but that doesn't mean he's DL. DL has a very specific meaning. So when it's such a nuanced issue like that, you have to take into account that something probably happened where she's weaponizing what your attraction is to her in society. I don't know what happened at the Houston DL list. That's not my thing. That's not my place. But keep in mind that something had to have happened where she can weaponize what that is, because we can believe that, but the majority of Americans do not believe that trans women are women, because Trump got in office, everything happened, they don't believe that trans women are women.
Mm.
We don't have the answers. I believe that trans women are women. They don't. Even if I did agree with it, I could weaponize it to say, hey, you were with me and you're in my DMs and you're doing all this with me. Ha 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 ha. Does it mean that I'm reinforcing a stereotype? Yes, because we live in a world that has that. So it's such a nuanced take that it's very hard to say like she's reinforcing the stereotype, because guess what? Unfortunately, she lives in the world where the stereotype exists. And the DL man wasn't really for trans women. It was for other men who were sleeping with men. And, the whole thing with just demonizing Black men who are sexually attracted to other men, who have sex with other men. And then, of course, they always bring in the STD issues and stuff like that. And a lot of times it's just used to weaponize. And unfortunately, she may have had a reason to. She may not have had a reason to. If she didn't have a reason to, then shame on her. But if she did have a reason to, then she shouldn't have weaponized her transness.
I think she's just being messy.
That should be messy too, yeah. She could absolutely be messy, you know?
Yeah.
Because
So
there was
what's your take
also
on it?
Yeah, I don't know. So basically, I mean, because I'm trying to understand. I mean, she's exposing a list of DL men.
Yeah, I'll show you in the next video.
so
Oh, there's
basically
more
it was
to
a
this.
list of men who are in her DMs, and she's just saying that they're DL because they're in her DMs. She's probably messed around with them. They want her and stuff like that. The flip side of that is this guy actually
Well, why would
DL?
they be DL? Because they're in her DM. Is she trans?
Yeah,
She's
she's
trans, yeah.
trans.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I
So
mean,
the girl in the video, I don't think is trans. I don't know if the girl in the video that
Oh
you showed
no,
is
she's
trans.
not
Yeah.
trans. She's cis.
she's not trans. Okay, so she's not trans. But why would she assume that people are DL if they're hitting her up in her DM?
No, no,
Well,
no,
no,
no.
I think she's telling
She
the
was
story
talking
of what
about the
people
other
DL
girl.
was.
This is where I'm getting confused. I mean, me personally, I mean, I don't think anybody should be outing anybody, but I mean,
Again, we don't know
because
what
like I said,
happened. So,
yeah,
I'm not for
and that's
outing
what
people
it is. I
either.
don't know
If
what
you don't
happened.
want
It's
to,
like, yeah, what, like, where is this coming from?
that's the whole thing. We don't know where it's coming from. So, if there's
Yeah,
more
I
to
mean,
the
because I think
story
the
where,
whole, the stigma that they always want to, they always bring, the STD thing into it,
Mhm.
and I, I, I'm like, where is this coming from? Like,
I mean, this is the same thing as this girl Hennessy who outed all the Miami rappers and
Right.
um
I was about to mention her. I didn't see even bring her.
it's the same thing. She was being messy and
now is this Hennessy? Is she trans?
yeah, she's
She's trans,
trans.
yeah. But
Well, see, to me, she shouldn't be messy outing these rappers. I mean, I get it. I mean, yes, can we get over ourselves and people, especially since everybody's saying, sexuality's fluid, then everybody should just be able to live in their truth. And regardless, I know with rappers, they're supposed to be men and all that other stuff, strong black men, and them liking a trans woman. If that's what they like, that's what they like. Then I mean, what can I say?
well, yes, that's the ideal,
Yeah.
and I'm all for the ideal. But we also live in the real world,
Oh no,
where
no,
there
no!
are
I get what you're saying too. Yeah, no,
there's a
we
lot
do
of
live
men
in
who
the
would
real
not be
world.
seen with me in public. There are a lot of men who will fuck you on the low and
No,
just
you're
let you
right.
do what you gotta do, and
Yeah.
they'll keep their life. And I think those men, with the Hennessy situation, I think she was kind of outed as trans, so that put her in danger.
Yeah,
So when you put
and
someone in
that's
danger, their
understandable.
reaction is to say, "Oh well, I'm in danger. I'm gonna blow you up."
Yeah, no, no, and I get that. I mean, they're doing a tit for tat, but I mean, it's like I said. I mean, nobody who's trans should be harmed, and stuff like that. And to me, these straight men or DL men or bisexual men, I'm just gonna use the word messing with, or
Mhm.
trying to date or whatever. I mean, see, I don't like that people want to have their cake and eat it too. I'll mess with you, but I can't be in public with you or none of that stuff. It's like, come
Yeah.
on. It's like that's the thing I don't like. I'll just say, speaking as the resident gay on the panel. So it's like, but just the whole LGBT in general, we want love and affection and all that other stuff. We would like to go out in public with our significant others. It's like that's what forces people to hide.
Yeah.
Just let people. I mean, let people live.
People forced to hide themselves because they don't view many trans women as people.
Well, and that's the sad part. That's the sad.
So
Yeah, that's the
even
sad.
even the men who are deal who have sex with cis men, they don't view the people they're having sex with as men. They view them as an object where you're a
Yeah,
tool to get me off,
that makes me
and
think all
you're
the way
be
back to that
discarded.
whole
Ex-
what's his name, J.L. King, back in the day when
Yeah.
the men on the the down low book he wrote,
oh
and the way
yeah.
he made it come across is that gay men are like gay men are just to have sex, and I was like, wow. I mean, it's like come on, gay people. I get so mad sometimes because I be like gay people, or just, and I'm just, again, I'm speaking from the gay lens, how so much
Yeah.
we want to emulate our hetero counterparts. I'm just like, oh, let them do them and let us do us.
Absolutely. And
You
I'm
know,
not trying to say like gay men are like that. I mean, DL men, like when, so that's
you
where
know,
the negativity comes in, where
yeah,
a lot of people are were with DL men supposedly is a danger, and many DL men aren't dangerous to people. Like, they're not outwardly violent and stuff like that. They are at a point in their lives where they can't accept where they are, or they're at a point in their life where I have a wife and kids, I'm too far deep in, but I have these feelings, and I'm going to go satisfy them. But there's a difference between being discreet and being DL, in
yeah.
my opinion.
No, I agree. Because
Exactly.
when people ask, well, again, I mean, if you ask me, am I gay? I'll tell you. But it's almost like when people ask you, like, I mean, if you want to say out in the world, am I discreet? I mean, I don't even like to say discreet, but I get the
No, no,
sense
no. I'm not even saying like that. Where not, I'm not saying like anyone for you particular, because there are men
yeah,
who consider themselves DL and there are men who consider themselves discreet. Where just because I don't want my business out on Front Street, that doesn't mean that you're DL. If you don't want your
no,
business out
no,
on
you're
Front
right.
Street, and nobody wants their business on the street.
Yeah, well, no, nobody in general wants their business in in the street, but it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's
And
people.
I was on the Sufis app the other day, and this guy, um, he wants to claim he's DL in 2025, and I'm like, what does DL need have to do with you sending me a picture? You know?
Well, so here's the thing: when you say DL, it's supposed to be a black guy. It's supposed to be a hyper masculine black guy. I'm this and I'm that. I'm fitting the stereotypical black guy, where I'm hood,
And when you say that, I mean because
and that's just feeding into is being DL feeding into the overall stereotypes of black men are scary and they're used for their bodies and that's all they're good for. Yes, DL. When you say you're DL, that's what you're saying. When you're saying you're discreet, you're saying no. I'm a person. I like men. I don't want my business out on Front Street, but I will still go out with you. I will still go to places with you. I will still treat you like a person. When you say DL, they're looking to treat you like an object, and
Exactly.
sometimes people want to be objectified. It's okay to
no, I
be
get that, but
objectified.
okay, but when you say DL, I mean you're just not talking about black men. I mean, of course, there's Asian DLs, there's white.
Oh yeah.
No, because the original definition of a DL man is a black man who's on
Yes, okay,
well.
yeah,
Other
okay.
men have
We
co-opted
coined
it,
the
but the
term.
original term was a black man who's
Okay,
on the down low, who's hyper masculine, who has a wife, has a girlfriend, and they're. I guess it was who's the girl from way back in the day? How Stella got her groove back? That
Oh,
girl.
Angela Bassett.
Yeah, so that's where the DL term. Well, if I remember it correctly, my memory may be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. This is just what I remember. The person that helped her get her groove back was
Oh,
supposedly on DL.
KB.
well, see
So
that
it's like,
character in real life,
yes,
based on the writer of the book,
right.
would be Al Reynolds then. Well, no, not Al
Okay, I
Reynolds.
don't
No, not Al Reynolds.
remember. I don't know about Arrows that well. So
No,
all I
okay, I'm
remember is
confused
from.
because I'm thinking of Star Jones and how she, you know what? Forget I said that.
You can say it's a
I
free forum. You can say whatever you like.
No. I'm saying forget I said that because I mean, I'm thinking of the movie and I'm thinking of the character because I remember who's the writer of I forgot her name, but I know
That's not
she
how I
came
remember
out.
her name. Yeah, I don't remember her
I
name. I
remember
mean,
when
I
she
could.
came
We have to
out,
Google it. How
and
Stella got her groove back.
no, but I'm just saying I remember when she came out, revealing that her husband that she married, was on the DL.
hmm. Okay, I have another question for you. Why do we associate HIV and STIs so heavily with DL men when unsafe sex practices exist across all identities?
Well, because it was with a lot of the deals. Well, it was that play who was that Tyler Perry made into a movie where Janet Jackson and Amari Hardwick and he's like who doing abandon and stuff like that. And he ended up giving her an STD. And Tyler Perry holds a strong place in the black community. So to say like
You
when he
really just
says,
want to say it's
"Oh,
Tyler Perry?
well, no, it was a play
No,
that
I remember.
Tyler
Yeah,
Perry
the play. The
adapted."
play is actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what the. Yeah, the
Why did
called
we get
What was it?
married?
Colored Girl. No,
No,
that's
it's
for colored girls.
for
Oh,
colored
okay.
girls who are think so the play was for colored girls who are contemplating suicide,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
the movie was just for colored girls.
yeah.
So the play, the man was, on the down low. So I don't remember if he gave her STD and stuff like that, but in the movie,
He
Amari gave
did. He
Janet
gave
an
Janet Jackson's
STD,
character. Yeah,
and he was like the dude that was, I'm gonna get it on the street, I'm gonna fuck random dudes, and that's not DL culture either. So it's one of the things where they're playing up a stereotype of black men that they're wanting. They can only think about their next nut, and they're gonna go anyway about it, and that's wrong because black men are multifaceted. They're not a monolith. There are issues in the black community that we have to deal with. And to put that on men who are, and even when in like health terms, they don't even call the men gay. They call them MSMs. They're just men who have sex with men because they don't identify as gay, because identity is what you self-identify as.
Yeah.
So when we say DL, that's what we push. We push the narrative of those black men who can't control themselves. They have to have it, and they have to have it whenever they want. And that's what the narrative is pushed, where there are DL guys who go get tested because they will never leave their wives. And it's such an intersectionality that we need to accept. And they will never leave their wives because their wives are everything to them, but they have that urge also. And I can respect that. You're not going to have it with me. Well, maybe you might, but you're not going to. I can respect that, where it's like, you're going to say, listen, this is the love of my life. I have these urges. She can't satisfy them. And the difference between being DL and discreet is if you've had that conversation with your wife. Because there's men who've had that conversation with their wife that said their wife is not with that, but, whatever you do, don't bring anything back home. Be responsible. And black men are also responsible. There are black men who aren't responsible, but that's not all black men.
no, of
And
course.
so when you say someone's DL and they say, oh, well, this person's DL, they want to do that, there's always that stigma of tearing down a black man. So when white guys say he's DL and stuff like that, that's cool. You can say that. You can do that. You can say they're DL, but DL men are black men who are living
I don't know.
whatever, but they're not also those negative guys where they're like, I'm harming everybody in the community. Are there men who will kill to keep their life together? Yes, but that's not all the men. That's those men. So and in society we have this hard problem with black men not being able to differentiate themselves. And that man may have been, when we think of DL, when we think of the worst. And I think as a culture, we need to not accept more, but not judge as harshly.
Mhm.
But I mean, again, that's just my opinion on it. I'm not anybody bigger or pointing. I'm just like talking because I'm a little drunk.
Okay.
I don't know. I just have I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying where the word DL derives from, but it's when you're on these apps, it don't matter if it's a black guy or a white guy and stuff like that. They will say, I've been approached by guys who will tell me they're DL, and stuff like that. And I don't
Absolutely.
take it, just because again, I'm not gonna just be like only black men are DL. There's
No,
white DL,
not at
there's
all.
Asian DL. I get where the stigma may come from, but
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get like what you said, where some guys, they're not leaving their wives, but they have these urges. I mean, the way
I mean,
but even the way that woman was in the video, and when she wanted to get on the subject of, bringing home stuff, I mean, you do really have to give a person see, that's the feel. Like, I feel like some guys are selfish. They don't want to give the other person the choice, you
Very
know,
true. Very true. Very
by
true.
not telling them, and stuff like
But
that. Now, I
Well,
get it.
I will
You may
say,
be,
is that a thing with just DL men, or is that a thing with men in general?
I guess you could
yeah,
maybe, let's
that's
just
thing
say
with
both.
men in
Let's just
general.
say both. Like men who don't want to give a person a choice. Like, you'll think that, oh, I'm not sleeping with nobody else, and they'll be sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry around town, and stuff like that. You know,
That's a thing
well,
with men in general.
I'm on all
Like,
these damn drugs to protect myself.
and listen, and the whole thing is that many men, for whatever reason, they don't take care of themselves as they should.
No, and you should. You should. I
And
mean,
we say, If you're engaged in whatever, you should take care of yourself as you should. And that's just a thing with being a man. And, with being a cishet man, you're strong. I am this. I can handle it. Nothing's going to take me down.
No,
But
you better.
understand, you're a human being.
Yes, no, I
A lot
would
of
say
things can take you down.
with all the advances in medicine today, I would say to any man, if you and it's not just gay sex, just any sex, I would
It's not
say.
even gay sex. It's about things that are silent killers that men just won't get checked.
Well, yeah,
You
no,
have to
no,
get your physical.
I get what
And
you're
that's a
saying there.
men thing.
Men don't. Men just they'll rather just drop dead and not
Exactly,
know.
because
But I'm just
they'll be
looking at
remembered
it.
as the guy who worked himself so hard to death
Yeah, but
versus
I'm
being
just
a
looking
person.
at it from that this lens of this conversation is like there are catching an STD, in my opinion, should no longer be a stigma. There are drugs out there
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
you can get on. That's why I got on them, because you don't know. I'm not
Mhm.
in I'm not in a like a committed relationship, and you
Exactly.
don't know what the next person's doing. They can
And
you they I think
you
everybody
never know
goes
when they
into
catch you
any.
vulnerable. Like they
Yeah.
can catch you in a vulnerable position where it's like, I'm not feeling so great about myself. And here you come and say, hey, you look cute. And that's just feeding your ego. And it's kind of like you just let your inhibitions go and things happen. That
Oh
happens with men, that happens with women, that happens with gay men, straight men, trans women, regular women, that happens with
no,
everyone.
no, you're right. It happens with everyone, but I just feel like just people in general
Mhm.
need to
Yeah.
be responsible, and putting themselves out there. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say, sexually, because I mean, I think everybody who goes into a sexual encounter, well, you look healthy, I look healthy, and you don't know what's going on in the background with them. So to me,
I've
yeah.
heard, I've had it. Like, I look healthy. Man, I'm 300 pounds. It's like, sir, I'm 300 pounds. So what do you mean I look healthy?
No, yeah, there's
Let's
people who
move
say
on.
in their
Let's move
profile,
on.
go on. I'm just, it's just weird.
Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna play a little bit of the deal list here, so you can see what it looks like. Then she said, "Don't she kill myself in the mirror, but you wasn't there. I couldn't find you." Okay, so I mean, it seems a lot like she's exposing these men to me. Okay.
And again, she's a straight cisgender woman.
No,
No,
so
she's a
that's the
trans
woman
woman.
that's actually exposing the DMs as a trans woman. The other video was just, I guess, a cis woman from Houston talking about it.
Oh, just okay. See, this is where I'm
Yeah.
getting all confused. Yeah, I'm thinking it's the lady. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm playing.
I'm saying thing about the Houston DL situation, right? Just woke up seeing it probably 45 minutes ago. And let me say this: I do have sisters with trans experience, and I classify them as she, her, this male, girl, this thing, all of those, all feminine pronouns, right? Confused, and I do have sisters that are very cunty. I have dogs, I have Banji, bitch. I got sisters across the spectrum, and I respect them and I love them to the utmost, and I would beat any bitch ass about that. However, and this ain't for my girls, 'cause they don't even do shit like me. I get so confused when a woman of trans experience expose a guy for being DL when you are a woman. Now, somebody playing with your motherfucking money, bitch. You do what you got to do, Miss Thing. But I get confused when it's considered DL when you are a woman. He's attracted to a woman. You are a woman. So how in the fuck is he DL? Wouldn't that be like a man dating a woman? Like, I don't get it. Now that part I don't understand, and it's probably not meant for me to understand. It is what it is, but I just never understand that part. Like, you are a woman, you classify yourself as a woman, you live your life as a woman. What the fuck is it DL about a man talking to a woman? I don't get that. But however, I will say there are stipulations about putting somebody's name out there because bitch, if you play with my motherfucking coin and my coins, we will have a problem. You will be dealt with. Absolutely. Hello, you will be dealt with. But I just never understood that part. Like, you're a fucking woman. You live your life as a woman. He ain't DL. He's attracted to a woman. Correct? Am I wrong? I don't know, and I be trying to be weary about talking about stuff like this for the next thing to be a Bush Queens need to mind their damn business, stuff like that. And you're absolutely right. Absolutely, you're correct. We do need to mind. I need to mind my business, but it just throw off a little bit of confusion for me because it's like, you're a woman. Now, if you were talking to a Bush Queen or somebody like me, a nigga, he'll be DL because that's two niggas talking. But you are a woman. That's the opposite. So, I don't know. What the fuck.
I get his point. He's right. If we're considering ourselves as women, then it should be like some magic list that you know
Yeah, but
where
see,
guys are
at that
at it.
point, people still see you as a man.
I get
That's the
that.
no. That's the
That's their
whole point.
opinion. That's their
No,
opinion.
no, I get that's the opinion, but because okay, yes, if you're DL or straight and you engage transgender women and you guys live your lives as women, yes, to me there should be no problem with it. But people make it a problem. Because at the same time, these guys will be married or have a girlfriend and they'll engage with you and let's just say their wives find out or whatever. And I mean, I'm confused. I'm so confused right now.
I'm not confused. So he's right, but there's the ideal and this is the reality of it. And this is our deeper conversations, nuanced conversations. But I look at almost like how plus size women are treated, where many men will not admit that they like big girls.
Oh, but a lot of them do.
A lot of them do, but will they marry
Yeah.
them? Will they be seen in the street with them? Will they be taking them out to dinner? Will they
Hmm.
be loving on them like how they need to be loved on, showing them that this is my heart, this is my prize, this is what I want?
Well, that takes a very
Yeah, and
That takes a
then
strong
you
man to do because
and
many
then you
men
just
will
be
not
cheated
bring a
on.
plus size girl to their homeboy, just like many men will not bring a trans woman to their homeboys. So
Yeah.
it's again, plus size women are women. And you like, oh, even with the whole thing of you like big girls. Okay.
Mm.
Like that's not the end of the world. Just like if you like trans women, it's not the end of the world. Are you treating this woman properly? Are you not abusing her? Are you loving on her? Are you doing this and stuff like that? And I don't think many men are capable of. Well, I wouldn't say many men aren't capable of it. They are capable of it. They're not capable of it to the world.
Okay. Now we're gonna move on to these videos where we're gonna react to them in a minute or less. So keep it to minimum.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Move your camera over.
A man has been sentenced to nearly 50 years behind bars for shooting and killing his girlfriend after finding out she was transgender. 20-year-old Taya Ashton was found dead in her Maryland apartment. The shooter, Alan Price, was someone she had been in a relationship with. The two had reportedly been seeing each other for a short time. Price later admitted that they got into an argument after he learned about her transgender identity. He claimed he only meant to scare her with the gun and that she somehow grabbed it and helped pull the trigger. A version of events that sounded unbelievable from the start, but that story didn't hold up in court. Forensic tests found none of Ashton's fingerprints on the weapon, and neither the judge nor the jury bought his explanation. The evidence made it clear that Price acted alone. In the end, Price pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and to using a firearm during a violent crime. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison, with 12 years suspended, meaning he'll be spending the next 48 years behind bars. This tragic case has raised conversations once again about the violence faced by members of the transgender community, and how often these acts are rooted in fear, ignorance, or hate. What's your take on this case? Do you think justice was served? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
We can't see you.
I definitely think justice was served.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
100%
no,
justice served. You shot her, you killed her, you gotta
yeah.
pay. Sorry, you could have just left
Don't
her
act
alone.
like you
You could have
didn't
just said
know
you could have left
she
that
was
on
trans.
between you and her. You ain't have to shoot her. You're mad. I
Exactly, and
mean,
he knew she was
first of all,
trans.
first of all, first of all, let's just say he's saying that's his story. She's not alive to say her story, and then there's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know her story. We don't know the truth. We don't even know his story. And again, we can't blame all DL men like that. He's a murderer. Okay, murderers do shit like that. That's not just from being DL. That's from you having hate in your heart and willing to take somebody's life over something that you could easily just keep to yourself, or even if you need to let it out, let it out. Go to therapy, yell at her, curse her out. You don't have to shoot her, you don't have to kill her. That's like the extreme thing. Again, he had access to guns before that.
Yeah,
He
but
knew
he
he could
knew
Of
get
she
the
was
course.
transgender. He had to know she was transgender.
Again, we don't
They were
know
dating, so
because
he had to
she's
know
not
she
allowed
was
to tell her
transgender.
story.
Yeah, I'm just
And
like, okay.
these stories, I've always kept it in mind that the victim's not alive to tell their story.
No, I get that, but I'm just like, dude, you trying to tell me you didn't, because you found out she was transgender, now you gonna kill her? You trying to tell me you didn't? I'm not saying, okay, maybe they never had sex, but I'm just saying, well, no,
Maybe
justice was
she's
served
maybe
because
she's that cut and she's that fish where she can live in the world and no one will know. But here's the thing: you found out,
no, that doesn't give you a
we have
right
to
to
kill her.
kill anybody. No, you're right. I agree. So yes, justice was served.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one.
I'm gonna start off by saying I ain't got no hate towards nobody. But this 22-year-old man right here with the braids in his head was on motherfucking Facebook and thought he bumped into a woman. But what he didn't realize he bumped into somebody just like him with the same kind of motherfucking equipment in between his legs. Facebook this motherfucker for over a month, straight back and forth. And then this motherfucker was invited to the motherfucking home where he went over there and found out what the truth was. The man left the house, but then this motherfucker opened his picture, started trying to blackmail this 22-year-old man and tell him that he was going to expose that he been talking to a man. He was going to expose that he been shooting them pictures that you only shoot to a woman if you're a man, and he been shooting it to another man. The 22-year-old told the police that he was so mad that he went right back to that motherfucker house and put 3 in him because he didn't want nobody to know what he had told or said to this motherfucking life.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Great grandpa, you got a phone?
What?
My great grandpa got a Facebook page for going live and talking.
I mean,
I love my grandfather, but I told him, Grandpa, you can't be on live
but
like
you
that.
would.
My eyes tearing, so don't
He
worry,
was
man. I'll
talking
just
to
kick my
her,
ass.
and then y'all
He's
meet
telling the
up.
story, but again, you're telling the story.
Mm.
I mean, we only can go on to what he's saying, about the story, But I'm just saying, you knew who you were talking to, and then you
Who's to
go
say?
over. Yeah, it's like
He
you
says he didn't, but the victim doesn't say that they can.
stop it. Okay, see, don't act like that. Y'all are not engaging in sex. You know what she has between her legs, unless she's, did the full surgery. So it's like. And then because she said she's gonna now I don't know where like okay what she's gonna expose you now I'm not saying you should expose anybody.
Who's to say she was even said that?
No,
She
no,
didn't.
no.
We don't know if she
I
said that.
agree. No, I agree with that. I'm just saying that still that you shouldn't. Why does it always gotta? Oh, I gotta kill you now. You actually have a hankering for
Because
trans
well,
women.
we
So I mean,
go back to say that we have a view of black men that they're ultra violent and they'll kill, and that is not true. But stories like this perpetuate the stereotype where every black man is judged by the worst of black men, when other men would just be like, "Oh well, I knew, and I'll keep it to myself."
yeah, but see, then that's an inherent fear of black men. I mean,
Oh,
and I'm not,
sure.
and
We
I'm
live in America. We know that there's an inherent fear of black men. There's
no,
an
not to
inherent
say
fear of
inherent
black
fear.
men.
An inherent fear with black men being, found that they like trans women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and now they feel like, oh well, I don't want nobody to know. I got to kill her. Well, shit, you kill her, you know you going to jail.
When you kill her, they're gonna catch you, and everybody gonna know.
Exactly. Now everybody know.
You could just let her live and
Everybody
say,
in
"Yeah, go
jail
about
gonna
your
know.
business."
Yeah. And you gonna be somebody's bitch in jail probably.
Mm.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just at the point with people. Again, in a perfect world, it would be everybody could just, like who they like and nobody care. But yes, we live in America and we know how
Mm-hmm.
America is. And it is. It's still, as much as we want to say, yes, things have changed. I wouldn't
You
want to have
haven't
been
changed that
gay.
much.
No, it hasn't. But because like I always say, I would not want it to be gay growing up in the 1940s. Being gay now, yes, it's a little acceptable,
It's a
but you
little
still
better,
got the
yeah.
bigots and all that other stuff out there. Because I know my mother used to feel a certain type of way when I came out to her and I was
Mhm.
in a relationship, and she would always fear when me and my, boyfriend would be out, like, you don't feel like we're gonna be attacked, and stuff like that. But it's just I don't know. It's just oh my god. All right, I'm gonna let you
okay,
go on a
let's
ramble.
move on.
Judge has ruled that transgender Americans have no right to not be harassed at work.
On Thursday, Trump appointee Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk had issued a ruling declaring that Title VII no longer protects LGBTQ plus people from experiencing workplace discrimination. Heritage Foundation in the state of Texas filed a lawsuit to challenge these non-discrimination laws, and unfortunately, in this case, they have won. Despite the fact that this decision directly contradicts another of the Supreme Court's, this is the U.S. Supreme Court's landmark 2020 ruling, Bostock v. Clayton County, which held that discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity is, by definition, discrimination on sex. In siding with the plaintiffs, though, Judge Kacsmaryk pointed to the state Texas Department of Agriculture's current employee policy, which requires employees to comply with the dress code in a manner consistent with their biological gender. Race gender people, of course, specifying that men may wear pants and women may wear dresses, skirts, or pants. Yeah, I wonder when they're going to drop the "or" from that. Don't know. Now, the ruling also upheld policy banning transgender employees from using the restroom that aligns with their own gender identity, and also ruled that Title VII only protects firing somebody simply for being homosexual or transgender, but does not protect transgender or gay people from being harassed on the job.
Okay. So, what did you think of that video?
That was in Texas, right?
Yeah, Texas. I hate Texas because Texas is a very bad place for trans people right now.
Which is so ironic because isn't the quote for Texas the home of steers and queer? But whatever.
You know, I mean,
I guess the whole issue is to kind of like beat you into submission where you don't want to fight anymore and you don't want to live your life anymore.
the people are moving out of Texas. I mean, transgender people are in Texas are moving out.
But there's people moving into Texas too, and then they
Yeah,
realize
you got
that
a lot
Texas
of
is
people. You got a
shit.
lot of black people moving down to Texas.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, the black experience and the conservative experience aren't like they're two separate things. And black conservatives they can move into the conservative space until they find out they still think you're niggers. So they'll think you're one of the good ones until you speak up for yourself, and then
Yeah.
that's why they'll move to Texas. They'll be like, "Oh, I want to be in a place where I can raise my kid to be this and be that." If they go, your kid is still one of those.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we're just at the point where they just want to legalize hate. It's just like, and like you said, beat you into submission. So it's like you want to move, or it's just like, or just hide people going back into the closet.
And there's a lot of people who will because
Yeah, no, and they will. And to me, that's the thing. I feel like the LGBT community should not have to.
Yeah.
we're the easiest
Okay.
target.
Okay. So we're gonna move on to the next video.
You get so offended biologically. Sis, you asked why do trans women get so offended when biological women say they want to be like y'all, right? When that is said to a trans woman, it hits a nerve. And it's not because they're trying to be like you. It's because it implies that trans women are chasing something that they'll never reach. Almost like saying their identity is a costume, not something real. And that hurts, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Can you imagine somebody telling you cosplaying as somebody else? Imagine fighting through rejection, surgery, trauma, therapy, family rejection, societal rejection, just to live in peace. And then somebody says to you, you just pretended. Even if it's not meant that way, that's how it lands, right? And let's be clear, most of the time it is not said with love. Y'all don't be saying y'all want to be like us while braiding hair and passing the hookah. It's usually said like a dig, like a reminder that you think they're in second place. And womanhood is not a competition, it's an experience, and it shows up differently for everybody. Trans women included, right? But on the flip side, let me also say this. Some of y'all in the trans community gotta stop swinging at everybody, allies included. I done have folks in my comments ready to fight over a comment that wasn't backed by hate or malice at all. Wasn't even shady. And I'm just like, damn, I'm not the fucking villain. I'm literally out here defending y'all when y'all don't defend y'all motherfucking selves. I get it. The trauma is real. But don't burn bridges when people are trying to build them with you, right? We all just want to be seen, respected, and left the hell alone. And I don't think that's a threat to anybody. That's just human. Hopefully that answered your question.
Is he
Yeah,
wearing a do rag or is that his hair?
that's a do rag.
He said it pretty well, I think. I mean, the argument is saying, hey, you want to be a woman. I'm like, okay, well, what type of woman? The one that's a baby mama to 3 kids, or a great woman?
Yeah, I mean
I
that's
mean, I'm not
that's a
aspiring to
good
be a
point.
single woman. I mean, again, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but don't get mad at my opinion. If my opinion is this, my opinion is I don't want to be a single woman. You
Mm.
are.
Okay, Kenneth, do you have anything to say on that?
No, 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 no. You go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead with the video.
Hey, welcome back to part two of how many straight men are actually having sex with other men, and also how many of them are your boyfriend or husband. Ready? Go back to part one for more of a description, but we're going to be using the most accurate numbers, which is the 2020 census. Right now, that number will be about 125 million adult men in the United States. The new numbers are approximately 133, 134 million. So, nevertheless, we're still within margins there. So, let's notate that. But to recap, sorry, interrupted by low battery. Anyway, 6 to 10% of straight men have had sex with another man, reportedly, right? So we're looking at 7.5 to 12.5 million men. Now, that is on reports where they have put their name and identifying information on there. If you look at statistics where it's anonymous, the number jumps to 20%. 20% of 125, that's 25 million straight men that have had sex with another man. Now let's talk the married. Best conservative estimate is 33% of men that identify as straight and have sex with other men are married. So let's break that down if we're looking at the variance of how many millions that even is. So, in consideration of the identifying studies and the one that are anonymous, you're looking at 2.5 to 8.3 million men that are married. So, that means 2.5 to 8.3 of you women are married to a man that has sex with another man. And I know everyone likes to one out of every stats to put those statistics into that category. Low estimate is 1 out of every 25 married men. A high estimate is 1 out of every 8. The middle ground in that I always say just try to find the middle, is 1 out of every 15. So that means 1 out of every 8 to 1 out of every 25 that identify as heterosexual and are married to a woman are having sex or have had sex with another man. Now, if you look at the stats of that, half of that is presently within the last year. So, anyway, the whole point of all this is to be able to normalize, amplify, include, and really discuss all the implications within society. Stay tuned. Bye. So now you want to know the profile of those men and what exactly the implications of this looks like as society. Part three.
Okay. What?
There's more to it.
I'm sure there's a third part, I
Oh
guess.
no, it was talking about the third part.
Okay, okay, okay.
I don't know. I guess I'm sort of included in that because you know I had sex with this married man, and you know I I was gonna cut him off, but he apologized today. So but anyways, she's getting some stats there on men who are messing with other men.
Okay, that's your
I mean,
point.
But
but see, then I have to see again. You know how I feel sometimes. I always believe that a lot of people, and again, when I say gay, I mean I'm just saying, a lot of these men are either gay or bisexual and stuff like that. I mean, I question women. Are y'all not doing something at home that makes them want to dip out?
So, so I follow a podcast that's like strictly anonymous, and there are a lot of men who have these feelings and they can't be open with it for whatever reason. And I feel like if you created a space where your man could be open with you, you would have a man that'd be loyal to you forever.
hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know about other people, but from what I've heard, or from what I've seen, and it's anecdotal, but from just a podcast I've heard, and I listen to it at least 2 or 3 times a week on the way driving or commuting to wherever or hanging out, going stuff like that. You listen to things like and just hearing the things that people do and people benefit. So the idea of a subculture is pretty prominent in society where, people want LGBTQIA people to be a subculture, meaning not a culture, not like, black culture, Irish culture, Hispanic culture. They don't want us to be on that level because they don't view us as equal. So her saying all these men do this and these men do that, da 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 da. It's like saying how many men eat Spanish food.
Yeah, but where's she getting these statistics from? I'm just like,
I don't know where she
where
gets
did
the
you?
statistics.
I had no clue.
Yeah, it's just like, where are you finding this out? But okay, to Andrea's point, yeah, I mean, society looks at the LGBT community as a subculture.
And they want to keep us a subculture because they don't
Yeah,
want to people be like, oh, well, you're an actual person. And again,
yeah,
there's
it's
so
almost
much
like,
intersectionality that's going on that's it's
yeah,
just like so far fetched. Like again, I don't blame her for speaking on it because she's the content creator. She's going to create content. I can't be mad at her about it.
yeah. But
But
see,
at
this
the end
this
of
is
the
the problem with social media, where these views get spewed, and this is where everybody gets their news and stuff today anyway.
right,
So it's like, it's almost like you're somewhat indoctrinating people to believe this stuff, and it's like, come on. It's almost like saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, y'all can exist, but y'all got to be over there. We don't want y'all in the forefront," and stuff like that. And it's like, come on.
and also don't you be tempted, my man.
Yeah, it's like, come on. But it's not tip. It's not tip. Either he
Yeah,
has a
I'm just
hankering
sitting here.
for gay
I'm sitting
men.
here, man.
Yeah, it's like, come on. He has a hankering for gay men.
Exactly. It ain't me.
But to your
Like
point,
I'm
where
a
you
three.
said, and I'm just using straight people, if they could, how you like you said, have like a open space where a man can say, "Look, honey, this is what I'm into," and she may tell you, "Hey, I like women too." I remember I always get hit up by this couple, a male and a female. So evidently I'm just gonna call them swingers, that want me to, engage with them. But I'm like, I'm not. I'm like, I'm strictly gay, you know. So, but but the one thing I'll give them that I like their I guess you like their honesty with each other, and stuff like, yeah, where I wish more people can be like that instead of men, having to dip out on their girlfriends and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Yeah, it's like, come on, because
I mean,
evidently
again,
you're not doing something right at home that he.
no. Well, not even. You can't even say they're not doing something right at home. You can't give him what he wants. If he wants that, that's what he wants. You can't give
Well,
it to
that
him.
too.
I
Okay,
mean,
let's move on to the next video.
Forgot to tell y'all how I found out that my husband's brother was actually his boyfriend. Yes, let me get into it. So on the first day that my husband tried to talk to me, his brother was actually with him. It is so crazy how I even found out that they were actually together. Now, mind you, 7 whole years I was with this man. He, him, and his brother, the kids would go on trips together. They would even go on solo trips by themselves. His brother was always around. Again, I didn't think anything of it because when I first met him, they were together. I thought this was literally his brother for real. So my suspicion grew more intense when he started to get up to go to the restroom to talk to his brother. Why do you have to get up, to go to the bathroom to talk to your brother, right? So
I can't.
one day he went to the bathroom, so I got up and yes, I did. I put my ear to the door, and he was like, "I love you, babe." So now at this point, I'm like, "Wait a minute, what's going on? Is a female in his phone as brother, or is he actually telling his brother, 'I love you, babe'? Why are you telling your brother, 'I love you, babe'?" So I didn't mention anything about it, because I wanted to do my proper research. Now, the second part of why I grew suspicious is because when he would come over, every
time he would come over, we would have drinks, and I would get extremely sleepy, like extremely sleepy to the point where I, left them up to go to bed. So that was another red flag. Why am I always getting sleepy and they don't, now mind you, wine and liquor, certain wines do put you, to sleep. But it was like, no, am I being drugged? It gets deep, y'all.
I can't. Oh my gosh. So, because I was trying to get like what she was saying. So, evidently, this is a friend of his that he was passing off as his brother.
Is his brother, yeah.
Wow. And he was married to this woman, and they had kids.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's creative. I'll give him that.
I'm
That's
sorry you went
creative.
through that, sis. I
He
mean,
was
you were
he was
drugged.
trying to make it work. He was trying to make it work. Having his
You
kids.
got the best of both worlds.
Yes, exactly. You should have just
I
played
mean,
along.
again, could he have just been honest?
He
No,
could
no, no,
have.
and I'm joking. But yeah. But see again, he couldn't society doesn't let you be honest.
Yeah. And if he was honest with the girl, she wouldn't be into it.
Yeah.
And I think, and one of the things that this whole the strictly podcasting question that I listened to was that a lot of people would rather you tell them and let them make the decision versus you. Her story is he was drug. I mean, he was drugging you, girl. Sorry. I mean, I drink a lot, and I'll get sleepy every time. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a forensic whatever alcoholist or whatever, but that sounds like you're drugging you, girl. You say put that bitch to sleep so I can do what I
So
got.
we can do what we gotta do. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, there's only two ways you can put her to sleep.
Wow. Yeah,
Okay.
but see, to your point, yes, society does not let people be who they are.
Again, he's no. Well, again, society may not, but he's a shitty guy. Also, I mean, if everything she's saying is true,
Hmm.
with that caveat, if everything she's saying is true, he's a shitty guy. You shouldn't be lying and patching. It's one thing to see like, oh, well, I'm doing this. Like, you're bringing him in front of her and saying, "This is my brother." That's
No, but
pretty
people
shitty.
should be able to be honest and stuff like that. And because, like you said in the podcast, letting people make, I'm all for that. Letting people make the decision. Where she says, "No,
Absolutely,
I'm not
absolutely,
into that. I just want to be with a straight man or whatever." Let her make the choice. But a lot
and
of
make the
people,
decision.
yeah,
Or
a lot of people don't want to give people choice.
the
Yeah.
guy maybe you're so that great of a guy where she's willing to give you the chance because you're that responsible. I think that I won't hurt you. Been holding it down for X amount of months, X amount of years, where you've built that trust that I can trust you, and I can know that you know where home is. You know what it is, and you'll do what you got to do. And many men may not feel that they're this guy. That many men are that guy, where they're that guy, where they'll take care of business. Where if you just be honest with her, it says, "Oh well, you take care of business, so you could do what you got to do." What?
Okay. Let's move on to the next video.
The gays are actually out of control this time because I'm out at the bar last weekend and a guy comes up to me and says, "Hi." And I realize that I've actually met this guy before, so I'm like, "Hey man, how's it going? How's your night?" He's like, "Oh, it's going good. I'm just here with a couple friends for a birthday." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sick." We talk for a minute and he's like, "Hey, like, can I get you a drink?" So I say yes. We go to the bar, we're chatting, and I notice that he ends up getting like a little bit more touchy, and I'm like, "This guy's hot." So I'm flirting back, and he's like, "Hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Do you want to come with me?" I know goddamn well what that means. So I said, "Fuck yeah, let's go to the bathroom." We're waiting in line. We start kissing. We're making out. And a stall opens. So he's like, "Do you want to come in with me?" So I say yes. Go in the stall. I hook up with this man. And eventually people are knocking on the door. So I'm like, we should probably leave. So we walk out. And he's like, "All right, like, I'm going to go find my friends." So I'm like, "Okay, bet. You have my phone number. Text me this week. Maybe we can hang." So the week goes by. I don't hear from him. I get on Grindr last night and I get a message. It's from a super hot guy, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, "You look familiar. Have we met before?" He's like, "No, we haven't met. But I saw you at the bar last weekend. I thought you were really hot." I was like, "Well, why didn't you come and say hi?" And he was like, well, I was gonna come say hi, but I told my friend that I thought you were hot, and he was like, I know him. Let me go say hi, and I'll bring him back over to introduce you. So then I was like, well, why didn't you just come over and say hi if you saw that your friend was sticking around? And he's like, well, you guys were talking for a while, so I figured that you were just into my friend. And I was just like, oh my god, this man's friend just pulled a Regina George on him. So we actually ended up FaceTiming last night, and it went really good, but it was very clear that his friend did not tell him we hooked up in that bathroom. And this man is sexy. I definitely want to hang out with him. I want him in my bed. But I don't know if I have the potential of ruining that by telling him that his friend is a shady bitch. I have no idea what to do, because if my gay friend did that to me, I would lose my shit. So yeah, these gays are actual mean girls. So let me know what you would do, and I'll update you soon.
So what do you think of that, Kenneth?
Well, a lot of gay men will not bring their, well, and let's say if you're with somebody, that some of them who may be a little insecure will not bring their significant other around their other gay male friends with the fear of them thinking they're going to try to hook up with them. Now, again, that could just be your boyfriend who just, he'll just hook up with anybody. But, yeah.
Hmm. I used to be a little wild back in the day, where I went after these two guys who were roommates,
Wow.
and I didn't know that they knew each other, but they were talking behind the scenes. You know,
Okay, Mama. Well, I'm assuming you don't know who Regina George is.
no.
That's like the girl from Mean Girls.
From who?
So from Mean Girls, the movie, I don't know, it's like an early.
Oh, okay.
So Mean Girl, she was like the main mean girl. So basically, what he's saying is, sorry, the friend liked him, but like I don't like my friend, so I'm gonna go fuck your friend. I'm gonna fuck your like interest because I don't like you. That was fun. When she said meeting Regina George, was like, girl, like Mama, I'm sorry, and she was like, I'm sorry. That was fucked up because he was used as a pawn.
He was what?
You know, he was used as a pawn because he was used to get at the friend. Because the guy that went into the stall with him and did whatever didn't really, I wouldn't say didn't like him, but may or may not have actually liked him because he was trying to get at the friend that actually liked him. And like, look, a person you liked, I banged him, and I'm gonna hold that over. Like
I mean,
once he said with Regina George, I was like,
don't you think they talked behind the scenes?
well, I mean, they as who? Like, I
The
mean,
friend?
I don't know. Maybe I may have missed
Yeah, the
something, but
friends, the guy.
that's gonna come up in the fight where me and you are. Let's say me and you are friends, and that's gonna come in the fight. Well, that guy, you couldn't get him. I got him. You did. That's gonna come up in the fight.
Okay.
But what's so messed up is that he's like the pawn in the situation. He's the guy that I got, and that's so messed up. Because he was probably liking the guy and thinking like, oh, we'll hook up, we'll do whatever we could be, whatever. But he was just a pawn in the situation.
Mm,
And that's fucked up to be just a pawn in a situation where you don't know that you're a pawn. If you're okay with
yeah.
me, then so be it. But if you're not okay with it, then that's messed up.
Well, it seemed like he was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's young.
Yeah, but you can't. Well, see again, I wouldn't. That circumstance is different. But to me, yeah, I can. And again, I guess if this makes me look jealous, this makes me look jealous. I wouldn't. Certain people that I've liked, I wouldn't bring around my friends because I know my friends.
I mean, are they your friends?
Huh?
Are they your friends?
Exactly. That's again. Yeah, because again, you have to. Yeah, no, exactly. Because some people that you may think are your friends are not really your friends.
They're your enemy, yeah.
They will sleep with who you are with.
That's true. 100%.
Okay.
Little do they know, right?
A local transgender woman suing the Hooters franchise on Wolf Road for discrimination. Since James De La Fuente has been following this story and begins our coverage now.
The Hooters on Wolf Road drawing protesters twice in recent weeks.
I'm suing Hooters for sex-based discrimination on the basis of accommodations on the basis of employment. The restaurant has been a regular stop for Brandy Livingston, so much so she hopes to someday work there. However, after her recent transition, Brandy claims that she's not respected there as a woman. They would use male pronouns. He would refer to me as he. She claims it goes even further, telling me employees and management at the restaurant continually harass her when using the public restroom. I overheard one of the servers after I left the restroom talking to one of the managers and said that, "Are you allowing him in the women's restroom?" And the manager said, "Oh, I don't like anything more than you do." Brandy filed a claim with the New York State Division of Human Rights, and after investigating, they found sufficient evidence her rights may have been violated under New York Executive Law 296, and there will be a hearing. At-will situation, proving that the employer's reason they gave was wrong is not enough. You got to prove that it was discrimination on the basis of some prohibited characteristics, such as gender identity. She says she applied 3 times for employment. Experience or anything? Because I had previous jobs I had written down. And he said, "Oh, we don't care about experience. We hire on the basis of personality, and there's an image that needs to be met." Hooters has fired back, saying through their lawyers that Brandy was requested to not return to the restaurant because of what they say were her own offensive actions, and alleged that Brandy, on several occasions, made sexually explicit comments to servers. So they just claimed that you had, prior to transitioning and after, you had frequently made multiple servers at the restaurant uncomfortable by informing them you wanted to marry them, discussing masturbation. I never said anything about it. The Hooters company says that you had threatened to go to a gun range for practice for the next time you came to the restaurant. My mom would take me to the gun range and for clay pigeon shooting trap. I feel like one of the servers might have overheard what me and my dad were talking about and misunderstood what we were talking about. I have reached out to local law enforcement to check any claims of possible gun violence and have found no such threat. Ultimately, Brandy says she does not want money. What I really want is an apology. I'm never going to get that. Lawyers for Hooters have not responded to repeated requests for comment. Brandy and Hooters head to a human rights hearing in September of 2025. It's a very slow system. I think that's why more people don't stand up for their rights. Reporting in the Capital Region, James De La Fuente, News 10, ABC.
Okay. I'm going to give my take on this. I believe that I believe that some transgender people shouldn't try to buck the system. I mean by that, um, that they're trying to push the envelope here and trying to apply to Hooters as a girl and not really being that passable. I mean, that to me is bucking the system. What do you
But
think?
how is it bucking the system if trans women are women? If she
Because
presents
again, we
herself
live in a
to the
world
world
where
as a
many
woman,
people don't think that.
no, I get that, but to me, I hear what you're saying, Portia, but to me, it's like if she presents herself as to the world as a woman, what's wrong with her applying for a job at Hooters? So, cause the way you're making it sound is like, well, you have to be passable.
Well, I'm not saying you definitely need to be passable, but if I was to go for a job at Hooters, I would know I wouldn't get it.
Well,
But
the
You
thing
know?
about Hooters is there's the undertone of sex and sex appeal. Like nobody's going to Hooters
Exactly.
for their bland food.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
going there to see some women in pantyhose, and
And their breasts
there's a,
perked up.
there's a whole other
Yeah.
thing with that. Now, I don't know, and again with these lawsuits, we don't know the whole story. To me, the story is there's a little bit more going on. If they hired her, they saw that she could bring in some clientele. Who those
Mm.
clientele are?
Exactly.
Would you say?
The
No,
client,
she said
she
bring in
can bring in
clientele.
clientele.
Uh,
She can bring in
yeah.
clientele. And again, there
Yeah.
are, and we know how Hooters is in the, in certain communities because they're a certain type. They're wearing pantyhose. They have boobs. They have their thing out. They have everything out, and there's an undertone of sex.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not there. It's not like, hey, you could do what you got to do. But they hired her for a reason.
No, they didn't
Do I know
hire
the
her.
reason? Do I know the reason?
They denied her three
Oh,
times.
you denied hiring her. Okay, well,
Yeah, they denied her 3 times.
oh, so then I mean, go get a job. I mean, Hughes, it's a restaurant. Hughes not paying like crazy.
And she's fighting a discrimination case against them because she felt they didn't hire her because she was transgender, and that seems really off to me.
They didn't hire her because she is transgender.
Well, the thing about it is,
Yeah,
if she's qualified, you can't not hire her because she's transgender. Could you
Yeah, a
hire
lot of
her as a
people are not
cook?
hiring her because she is.
Could you hire her as
I mean,
a
they could hire
cleaner?
another transgender person who was more
Yeah, but you're
beautiful.
saying is because they're
Yeah,
passive.
but if she has the qualifications to be a greeter, to be a cook, to be a cashier, then and you don't hire her, then okay, maybe she may have a point. Again, we don't know the whole story, but if you're strictly
Yeah.
hired as you're going to be a waitress, and we don't think you could be the waitress that you need to be, that we want for our standards, and
Hmm.
that's above my pay grade.
I think she should go all the way.
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
Okay.
because in my opinion, they are discriminating because they know, she was born biologically a male.
I mean,
very
yeah, if she came into the establishment as a man, and then as she transitions, she goes back to the establishment, then they can know already you're.
Okay, but regardless, okay, she was able to transition.
and then
She shouldn't be discriminated because of that. She shouldn't
100%.
be. She
Again, and I don't know the whole story, so
Yeah,
there may be other
because I don't
things
feel it's
going
like
on
if
that she's
she
not telling.
because again, if we're saying trans women are women,
Hmm.
she should be able to apply there. Just say you don't.
Huh?
She looks too manly to just say that.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
They can't say
There's a
that
market.
because
There's a
that'd be
market for that,
discriminating
though.
against
There's a
her.
market for, hey, there's the trans girl that's visibly trans, living the life, working in Hooters. There's
Exactly.
a
Like you
market
said,
for
that
that.
could bring more clientele. Because like you
Yeah.
said, Hooters
Exactly.
screams sex. So you'll probably have straight men come there because they know, oh, we got to. They've been looking for a
You'll have all
trans
types
woman
of
all
men
their
coming there.
lives, and they found one at Hooters.
Mm.
We give her a 90-day grace period. Like, you got 90 days to bring
Exactly. Yeah,
money
do
here.
that at least.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I don't know. Some of these topics, they make me mad sometimes. With some of these people.
That's what they're designed to do. Don't let
Yeah,
them
but
get
it's
you
like
mad.
that's why
Don't
I
let them
can't.
get
I
you
can't. I'm trying to limit my
Protect
social
your peace.
media because I can't take it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could listen to opposing views, but
I can't.
social
I can't
media
listen to both
was
of
a
you.
horrible creation. It was a
You're better
horrible
than me.
creation because people are mean.
Yeah, people are very.
They're mean, and they think because they can hide behind a keyboard or just even if they're showing their face, it's like, come on.
Well, I'm not Michelle Obama, so people go low, I go
Oh, I
lower.
agree. When they go low, I'm
I
going lower.
exactly. I'm not going high. That's for you,
Exactly.
Michelle. I'm sorry.
Exactly. It's like, come on.
I'm gonna go as low as possible.
Okay, let's move on to the next video.
Okay, go on.
Is a
I feel like the
dog.
whole world is motherfucking obsessed with motherfucking transgenders. Why I feel like that? Every fucking other post, or every fucking other page I go to, a bitch talk about a transgender. A bitch that ain't a transgender talk about a transgender. Do we still talk about you motherfuckers? We don't give a fuck about what y'all got going on. Bitch, we perfected this shit, and we doing it so good, y'all motherfuckers can't take that shit. And it's sad. It's sad. Some of us do it a lot better than you bitches do it. And that's the problem. See, I don't have a problem with women. I got a problem with the women that got a problem with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I love women, bitch. I love them, but it just seems like the whole fucking world, from the politicians to the motherfucking supposed to be Christians to the motherfucking the women that are securing their womanhood, securing who the fuck they are. Apparently you're not. All of y'all mind is motherfucking trans women. Do you want to be with us? Like, what the fuck is this? Who got? Y'all ain't got no lives to live. Goddamn, what your husband want for dinner? Get your man some dinner with the churn doing.
Give me some dinner.
So, what's your reactions to the video?
I'm all for it. She got it.
I mean, I believe that there is, an area. She's right. There are, people talking about transgenders every day on all posts, and it gets really tiring. seeing different posts about transgenders.
Yeah, but it's also revealing of who people are. People are showing their true colors. I mean, either they're supportive of transgenders or they're really showing their disdain. And that's the sad side. It's like, because again, to your point, like when I always think of the LGBT, you never heard. At least I'll say it. Yes, you knew trans people existed, but it's not like how it is today. I mean, they make y'all like a problem every day.
And the funny thing is, it's like I've been so many places in the bathroom. They're like, "Oh, well, a trans person in the bathroom's gonna do this." So like, I never had that problem with the woman in the bathroom. Like in the woman in the
Yeah,
bathroom, I'm like, I'm gonna do your makeup. I mean, my makeup's falling apart, but for people who don't have like watery eyes, their makeup's good. And like, I think it's like the trans people are like this big bad boogeyman that people could point to because they've never known a trans person, they've never seen a trans person, they've never seen even like if you've seen like a question named Hustle, and this person is where it's against you. You're just a person. You're a person just like I'm a person. We're in the bathrooms. We're doing this. We're doing that. And it's the boogeyman. It's the boogeyman for people who have never dealt with a trans person, who's never seen a trans person,
Yeah.
who's never dealt with like I've never seen a trans person. I've never seen someone who's put together. I've never seen who someone I said I know what's born a man, but they look good. They look put together. They've tried, and you know, to me, I've always been like, always if you try and you say, hey, I'm trying to express who I am inside, I can't hold that against you. You can't hold what God gave you if you believe in God. Some people may not believe in God. If you believe in God, whatever God gave you, that's what God gave you.
Um,
And people are working on the fact that they don't know trans people. They don't know anybody who says, hey, you know what, I feel like I'm a woman inside, but I was born a man. And they're playing on that because there's a lot of people who don't know someone. And when you know someone, and even if they say they're not passable, they're not this, and they can't live in the world, they can't do all this, they can't do all this. When you know someone, you can relate to their story. And
hmm,
we bring it back to conservatism, Trump, all this stuff like that, whatever.
okay.
Once you know the person, you can say, I empathize with that person versus I've never met a person like that.
Good point.
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the next video.
Damn, how many more you got?
Only two more.
I'm sure a lot of these from TikTok. TikTok is the like for
Oh, you have to put a certain prefix before woman. I hear your video, I really do. But y'all, I think we're like, as the black community, why do we care about trans women or gay men or DL men? Fuck all that. That's not important. What is important is segregation. They still trying to like fuck us as a black just because we're black. I don't care that Johnny like dick. I don't care that Susie wanna eat coochie. I don't care that Johnny want to be a girl. I don't care that Susie want to be a boy. I don't give a fuck about that. I want to make sure we can all live to do and be what we want. We're worried about the wrong shit. Let's come together as this community and stop the violence against us, the hate against us, the systematic bullshit that they put on us. Fuck all the other shit.
I agree with her.
she cleared it. She cleared it.
I agree with her 100%. I remember when what's her name, Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade were accepting an award, and what did she say? Because she was basically like saying to the black community, I mean, are we only going to stand with some of us or all of us? At the end of the
Hmm.
day, black, trans or black gay, bisexual, we're still black. So regardless if you don't like our quote unquote lifestyle, we're still black at the end of the day. I'm still your brother. You're still my sister.
Exactly.
So it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the thing where it's like us coming together as a people, but it's almost like I said earlier. They want gay people, or just let's just say even within the black community. They still want some of the LGBT community. Y'all be over there and we be over here.
You're right.
Absolutely. There's nothing. She cleared it. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, let's look at this other video.
Justice tonight for two families whose loved ones were drugged, robbed, and left to die. Today, three men were sentenced to decades in prison for a deadly scheme that targeted men at gay bars and nightclubs in Manhattan. And the victims' families were in court today to deliver a message. News 4's Melissa Colorado is live in Lower Manhattan with that emotional day in court. Melissa? And it was certainly emotional, Gilma. No, Gilma, you'll recall this was a calculated drugging and robbery scheme that targeted people who were partying in gay clubs over in Hell's Kitchen. Two men died as a result of this back in 2022, and the three men convicted of those crimes, well, they learned their fate today. And that fate was decades in prison. After an exhaustive trial that ended with three men convicted of murdering and robbing 25-year-old Julia Ramirez and 33-year-old John Umberger, for the opportunity to be here. It was time for the victims' loved ones to speak to the men responsible for their deaths. You have to kill him. All three defendants, 37-year-old Jaquan Hamilton, 32-year-old Jacob Barroso, and 36-year-old Robert DeMaio, were convicted of murdering Ramirez, a mental health counselor who was described as a devoted son and brother. The Ramirez family asked not to be reported. Two of the defendants, Hamilton and DeMaio, were convicted of murdering Umberger, a political consultant who previously served on the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. You have harmed this country because John Umberger was a servant to this country. The trio, convicted of drugging at least 5 victims with fentanyl-laced drugs and wiping their bank accounts by gaining access to cell phones. Prosecutors claimed the men went on shopping sprees with the stolen money, bought designer clothes, and expensive alcohol. John's beautiful soul was taken from us. So the judge sentenced Hamilton and DeMaio to 40 years to life in prison, and Barroso was sentenced to 20 years to life. Hamilton spoke up and told the judge he was innocent. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg says the only way to stop this type of drug and robbery scheme from happening again is to add more protections to money transferring apps.
Private companies like Cash App and Venmo to better protect consumers from fraud.
And DA Bragg says he has.
Okay, so what'd you think of that video?
I mean, well, they got what they deserved. I mean, it's just crazy, you know. I mean, oh my god.
There's
I'm
nothing to
glad
think about.
I don't go to clubs like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
he's young.
crazy.
He's 25. Well, he was
Yeah,
25.
he was
You
young.
killed
Yeah.
him. He's 25. You killed him. They should fucking. I'm not a fan of the death penalty. I don't agree with the death penalty.
No,
But
no,
if
I
they
hear you,
gave you
but
the
no,
death
what they got.
penalty, you're not the one I would fight for. I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
He's
you might as well
25.
say they got life
He
in
was a,
prison.
he was a baby.
Yeah.
He was a fucking baby. I mean, he was going to have fun. He was going to live his best life. He's living his dream. He's going to New York and going to a gay bar and living his dream, and you killed him to drink some liquor and buy some clothes. Fuck you. I'm sorry. Fuck you. You deserve to die. I'm sorry. You could have just robbed him.
Yeah,
You have to kill him.
I think when they're gonna get out, they're gonna be like 80 or
Oh yeah,
something.
their lives are over.
I hope they die in prison. I'm sorry.
Mm.
I'm mean. I'm sorry. There was no reason to kill the guy. I mean, he's 25. He's a baby. He's going to the. If I remember, it's the Ritz. He's going to a upscale gay bar. He's living the best life he can fucking live, and you go and kill him to take some fucking money. Like, come on. Like, that's so fucking wrong. And it's so mean.
Hmm.
Tell you.
And the last topic I wanted to talk about was the LGBT, the Pride Parade. They removed all transgender verbiage from the Stonewall website and just have LGB. And
Go on.
activists are saying, you know, um, we should fight for this. We don't want them to remove trans identities and queer identities.
I agree. You know, but I do not see how a society has let this man, Trump, and the Republican Party, I mean, it's crazy. You know, and then these government, state governments, so they won't upset him or be, attacked by him on his Truth Social or Twitter and stuff like that, to do these things. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I don't know what the president, or controls the parks or something like that, where they could say no mention of that. I mean, it's like, come
Oh
on,
yeah, no, they did
or is it the
this.
federal government?
They did this, because Trump had said there's only male and
Yeah,
female.
okay, yeah, but it's like, come on. But New York, come on, liberal New York, they
I
could have been like,
know,
fuck you, and stuff like that. It's like, come
but no,
on.
they did this.
I don't know. It's just like we're going backwards. We are really going backwards.
I don't know. That's why we're stronger together than apart.
I mean, the whole thing with Trump and stuff like that, his whole point is to be mean, is to be vindictive, is to be cold to people. And a lot of people resonate with that. And it's unfortunate that a lot of Americans resonate with being shitty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, this is supposed to be the land where you live your life, I live my life, and if I don't agree with your life, we just won't meet, and we won't. That's fine. But no, I want to go after you, and I want to be shitty to you. That's fucked up.
it is like that.
A lot of times, and I know with the whole everything going on, a lot of people that's not in their nature. They just want to live their life. They want to be happy. They want to be loved. They want to be loved on. They want to love. They want to give love. They want to spread love. They want to be friends. They want to be spread cheer. There's a part of the community that needs to be like, I'm going to bring this shit to you. Since you want to bring it to me, I'm going to bring it to you. And that's what they're not expecting. They're not expecting we need to bring it to you. And
What do you mean
we
by
say
bringing it to you?
when we need to bring it, we live our lives how we feel on our terms. I don't need to be mean to you. I don't need to tell you, you can raise your kids however you want. You can do whatever you want with your life, but I'm going to live my life. You need to live your life. And we can coexist, or we can do it the other way, where you're going to feel this kind of way. And I feel a lot more people, and again, we deal with media and stuff like that, and we live in our echo chambers and stuff like that. But there's a lot more people that are okay with you living your life, even on the Republican side, where it says you live your life as long as you're not bothering me. Don't bother me. I won't bother you, and I'm okay with that. You
Yeah,
can live your life,
I agree.
and I live my life, and I mean, America's supposed to be about freedoms. This is not about freedoms at this point. This is about going after the easiest target and saying, look, I did this. Meanwhile, on the other side, I'm making sure that I get money, tax cuts to whatever. And it's one of those, like, yes, I don't know if you ever been, I mean, are you from Brooklyn, Ken?
No, I'm from Long Island.
Are you from Long Island? Are you from Brooklyn, Portia?
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Long Island, but I live
Okay,
in
well,
Brooklyn.
we remember on Fulton Street where they had the 3 card shuffle thing where it's like I show you a card and how the
Oh
card you
yeah, I
think
know the
tonight.
game. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The game is I show you the card and hey, go after them, and on the other hand, it's I'm taking money to do this. That's exactly what the game is going on. And the game is always, and Lyndon B. Johnson said it, where if you feel like the poorest
Yeah, if you
white
can convince the
you
yeah,
give the
I know
poorest
the
white
quote.
man that they're better than the richest black man or the richest whatever. They
Mm-hmm.
change black man to trans person. And one of the main things that your problem is you're seeing trans people living lives of abundance, living lives of, hey, I don't have to worry about that. You're seeing the Patrick Stars, you're seeing the T.S. Madisons, you're seeing, shout out to my girl Naima Sanchez. You're seeing that they're living lives of, hey, I'm living my life and it's good. You can't say, oh, you're going to be out on the street, prostitute on drugs, dying on the streets. Oh, maybe your gay child will be like Jeffree Star. Maybe your gay child will be like Patrick Star. Maybe your gay child will be like T.S. Madison. Maybe your trans child will be like whomever. Like be like Laverne Cox. Will be like Dylan Mulvaney. We're not the big bad boogeyman anymore. And
I
I'm not saying I'm
know.
not a trans woman. I'm not. I say this for I'm not a trans woman. But we're not the big bad boogeyman anymore. Where we can live a life where I can one day present as a boy, present as a girl with a $1,000 wig and $160 of makeup on my face and sweating it out like I'm doing right now. If that's your goal, that's your goal. You just remember
Okay,
that your life is not the worst. You can always think it's the best.
you're right.
I think that's what people don't like.
I know, and we're like 2% of the population, and I don't get the fixation after going off 2% of the population. You know,
Exactly.
I don't get that.
Andrea's point, they always got to find a boogeyman.
Yeah,
And we're no longer the boogeyman.
Hmm.
We're the aspirations. Sorry, we're the aspirations. You want to be able to go into whatever and do what you got to do. Go do it. What's stopping you?
yeah, you're right.
I just need people in society to mind their business and live their lives.
Exactly.
And, if what I'm doing is not affecting you, then keep it moving.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like, come on, it's like you worry about, it is. I mean, you're worrying about, gay people or black people succeeding and all that other stuff, and you feel like you're losing the country. Yes, I'm talking about white people. Um,
White people
it's
will never lose the country. Like, yeah, sorry, you will never lose the country.
yeah.
We're 13% of the population. You will never lose the country.
I
And
know.
with this administration being
I
that they
will remind
control,
you of that. You will never lose the country. You will always be in charge, Whitey.
well, yeah, because they're trying to make us a modern day, South Africa,
I
because
know.
again, they say by what 42, minority, if we all banded together, would be the majority over the white population. You know,
Yeah,
there's a good book out there called White Fear: How the Browning of America is losing, how the Browning of America is making white folks lose their mind.
yeah, and
And yeah,
that's why they wanted to deport all the brown people.
yeah. I want to say, oh, there's a genocide over there in Africa. Get out of town. No, like I said,
Absolutely.
they're trying to make America, like they figure if they're going to be the minority in terms of just the white population and minorities being the majority, they're going to make sure they control all levers of power. That's why they're doing stuff with the 2025 and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
It's like, it's crazy. It is. And it's because, I mean, yes, I'm not Muslim, but there's things that Minister Louis Farrakhan says that I agree with. Where I remember he said in the Donahue you know interview back in the day where he was talking about white people have this inherent fear if the black people rose up, they fear that we would do to them what they did to us. And black
Exactly.
people we just let's just say everybody else, gay, trans, I would say everybody just wants to be left alone. Stop thinking, somebody's gonna, come after you, white people. No, we just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. You fuck with me, I'm gonna
Exactly.
fuck with
Live your life and I'll live my life.
you.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you got all these Karens and stuff.
Yeah, no, I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, you see how that one lady raised all that money for calling the little autistic child the N word.
I know.
Right?
And they get mad because they have this inherent I should be able to say the N word.
I
And I'm
should be
like,
able to
no.
call
Yes.
you that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you heard about the recent thing with the dude getting stomped out at the club.
I didn't hear
You
anything
know,
about that.
yeah, this white guy went into a black club. I guess he was drunk and he started, calling, throwing up gang signs and calling black people the N word, and they stomped every part of his body.
I mean, come on now. Like, I understand you're in power, but let's be serious. Like,
Yeah, but I'm like, white people, let this be one word you don't say. It's like, because the way I feel is like, look, yes,
God
everybody
forbid
has
it's
the
the one
freedom.
double standard that doesn't work in your favor.
Yeah, it doesn't. Because, like I said, you have the freedom of speech to say what you want, but just know it ain't going to sit well with everybody. And some people will put hands on you, and some people don't mind going to jail.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because if that's the case, then we need to. Then if we're gonna be like with all racial epithets, then we should be able to say the K word. For Jews, we should for Latinos, we should be able to say the WS. I mean, not WS,
Yeah.
WBs or S's. If that's the route we're going, we should not have to live in a society like that. Everybody should just try to get along.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a horrible world we live in. I mean, I don't know. Some of these videos you show me, that oh my god, they make me hate people.
Unfortunately, that's what it's supposed to be.
I
They're
know, but
trying
it's
to
just like
evoke that emotions of a negative emotion versus
yeah, and I mean,
an emotion of, oh well, I care about that person, even though I don't know where they're coming from.
yeah, no, I mean, and I really don't hate people, but it's just like, oh my gosh, just when you see this stuff, sometimes it's just like, oh my god, I can't stand people.
Mm.
I
Okay.
hear a lot of people talk about smartphones being a horrible creation because that's all we do is stay on them. Yeah,
Oh, well, I mean, that's what people want. Like, people like. I mean, the problem is if we lived in a world where everybody was free to be themselves, there would be no echo chambers. There would be no need for smartphones where we need to look for,
yeah.
But again, like I said, it's one of the phrases I use is it's above my pay grade because, where my pay grade is, it's where it is. If it's above it, it's above it. That's not my pay grade. If it's below it, then it's my pay grade. You want to be, I hate trans people, I hate gay people. Well, obviously, where you at?
Okay. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mama. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on your show. You're the mama, you're the baby, and hopefully the future's. I appreciate you. Thank you for
You're
having me. I
welcome.
appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Take care.
Porsha Friends, they got